going on, Jerome's? So the Minnesota Vikings are having a couple of issues in terms of depth in the secondary. Of course, you had the tragic and unfortunate passing of Kyrie Jackson, as well as you had Mekhi Blackman with the torn ACL. Shaq Griffin thankfully avoided major injury with a soft tissue lower leg injury, but beyond Byron Murphy Jr., there's a lot of question marks. Now, a lot of questions could be answered if third-year cornerback Akayleb Evans stepped up and was good to go. And Brian Flores at his presser, basically, Flores all offseason has talked up Akayleb Evans specifically. So it's a good sign where last year Evans started 15 games but was benched 17,000 times. And Flores did talk about consistency during the offseason, and I think that's something that Evans does need to bring. He's got the tools. He's got the skill set, man. Like, Evans could be really, really good at corner in Flores' scheme, especially playing more press man this year. But it just hasn't come together. But like I said, basically a lot of the Vikings' problems suddenly get solved if Akayleb Evans is able to start and be really damn good. And Evans' story is interesting. So he was originally at Tulsa, transferred to Mizzou, ended up being a fourth-round pick by the Vikings, and he played well his rookie season, appearing in 10 games. And whenever he's on the field, he had a little something, right? But he even addressed this last offseason. Like, he played a little bit too physically, ended up having 3 concussions his rookie year, which is not good. The Vikings saved him from himself, put him on the injured reserve, and he changed his tackling technique, changed his equipment, and last year played in and started 15 games, but just ups and downs. Like, I mean, this ball turned into a Josh Palmer touchdown, which is just so... Just the way literally the ball bounced at times last year, especially the beginning of the season, frustrating, man. But Evans is only 25. He's 6'2", $198, so he's got length, he's got strength, he's got everything, man. And he does have 88 career tackles, 9 passes broken up, an interception, as well as he's very good at forcing fumbles. Had 3 last year, 4 total for his career, and things generally seem to happen when he's on the field. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Long story longer, Ben Gessling, Star Tribune, did a great piece talk about the work that Evans put in. Now, we always talk about players putting the work in the offseason, and usually it's on the practice fields, in the weight room, it's all that stuff. But what about from the neck up? That's right, all that study, all that film work, and Akayleb Evans did that this offseason. This is what Ben wrote. Quote, "Everything is at stake. Jobs, being a potential starter," Akayleb Evans said after the Vikings' first padded practice on Monday. "Whatever role I have, I'm ready to be locked in." Evans knew, too, the biggest investment he needed to make was in how he studied the game. He struggled at times his first year in Brian Flores' defense. In addition to mastering his role in the scheme, he needed a clearer understanding of how offenses would attack him. Quote, "I've always tried to rely on athletic ability, but that's the difference in the NFL," he said. "You have to focus on yourself. What am I doing? What's my technique? How do I see the game? Do I understand what's going on around me?" End quote. Now, I mean, Flores, he's very demanding, right? But what you tolerate is a standard, and having high standards means that goes across the board. And with Flores, like, that's why Evans got benched several times. And a lot of coaches, a lot of defensive coaches, like, hey, you're my starter, ride or die. But Flores will give you the hook if you're not living up to his expectations, which is something I love about Flo. Enter Cody Alexander, the former Texas high school coach and Baylor grad assistant, who became an in-demand defensive analyst through his Match Quarters platform and Art of X podcast. So basically, he went to the DB coach and film guru, spent some time during the offseason working with Alexander, which is great. Quote, "It's just watching the game, understanding what's going on, how adjustments happen, how offenses are trying to attack certain defenses, just broadening my IQ," Evans said. He's a really brilliant guy. I'm looking forward to watching more film with him. This offseason, I knew what it was going to be, Evans said. It's just focusing on technique. How can I put myself in a good position, try to use my length, just being mindful in that area. I'm trying to take advantage of everything I have in my God-given ability. And, I mean, that's fair, because physical ability will get you pretty far in football. And, hell, it made Evans a fourth-round pick, but the NFL is a little bit different than Mizzou. Respect to Mizzou. The NFL is a little bit different than Tulsa. Respect to the Tulsa Kings. But, I mean, Evans, that's why it's been a little bit frustrating, because you can tell, like, all the physical tools are there. But sometimes technique, sometimes just things haven't come together. And that's what's been frustrating for fans, and that's obviously what's been frustrating for Brian Flores. But I really respect Evans having the humbleness to be like, this is something I need to work on, and then applying himself. All right, not every athlete would do that. So that's why I actually do have pretty high hopes, given everything that's happened in the Vikings secondary. And the Vikings still could potentially add a outside corner since Bobby McCain's more of a safety and a slot guy. But a lot of the problems get solved if Evans is good to go on the outside. Because if you're able to have Shaq Griffin at left corner, Akayleb Evans at right corner, Murph generally in the slot, and then you got Shelley and McLaughlin, then maybe a little bit of Bobby McCain mixed in there too. That's not bad. That's not bad, and probably making the best out of a bad situation. And Evans, even though Booth was a higher draft pick in the same draft class as Akayleb Evans, it's clear that the team thinks a lot more highly of Akayleb and is going to give him the opportunity and the time of day. So hopefully he stays healthy, and hopefully all that offseason film work that he put in is going to pay dividends out on the field. And hopefully, Evans turns into a player that, Flores has worked with some great cornerbacks before throughout his time, and hopefully Akayleb Evans will be the next guy. Because, 10 years from now, well, Flores will hopefully get a head coaching job here within the next couple of years, but 10 years from now, when Flores is coaching another team, it's always like, oh, bring Akayleb Evans because he worked with Flores in Minnesota. Hopefully that's what the future is going to be. Yeah. But your thoughts are thoughts. Akayleb Evans putting in that film work during the offseason. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.